Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today I'm going to be talking about builds that are very powerful in the current meta. Well, kind of. These are builds that you guys suggested on my top 8 new broken hero builds video, and so essentially at the end of that video, I said that I would make another video, a future video, highlighting and featuring the builds that you guys suggested. So I have a couple of meme builds here, a couple of very serious builds, and yes, I did make sure that all of these builds, or suggestions of builds, have some relevance. So no, they're not just completely random. The majority of them are completely legit, and you can 100% try them in patch 7.33, and let's get into it. One of the most horrifying modern day problems is identity theft, and that's why we're pleased today to present today's video sponsor, Aura. Imagine this, you're in college, and at the same time you're working a restaurant job just to make ends meet. You check your bank account with that $400 you just deposited, and you're overdrawn over $300 in your account. If this ever happened to you, it would feel like your whole world was over, right? If you had Aura, the fraudulent transaction would be flagged as such. So you can do something about it and work with the Aura team and your bank to make everything right. Because Aura has everything you need to protect yourself in the online age. It's the all-in-one package, including identity theft protection, fraud monitoring, VPN, password management, and much more. So you're fully protected and worry-free. Aura is giving every Game League viewer 2 weeks completely free of charge, so you can test their product and see how good it truly is. Zero risk. So what are you waiting for? Click on our link in the description or in the comment section and get Aura right now. Alright, starting off with the first build of the video, this is a comment from Kevin. And I guess it's not really a build, but he had something to say, and I'd like to start the video here because, I don't know, it's just a cool place to start. But Kevin said, Chen is handicapped due to his innate reliance on creeps to become relevant. So we're talking about Chen here. Chen is arguably the most popular support of the Berlin Major. It has a very good win rate on Dota buff at 53%. This hero, all in all, is very popular right now, considering every time you dominate a creep, you get the gold for it. And so you get these very cheap aura items and heal items, such as mech, drums, pavis, whatever that item's called, the shield thingy. You can buy a lot of these small, cheap, effective items, or something like Guardian Greaves has been popular in Chen. I've seen quite a few Boots of Bearings, and you snowball your team that way, right? The hero is also a pretty decent laner because of the fact that, let's say you get a Heartbeat creep, right? You just do a ton of damage. And so yeah, Chen is very popular right now, if not the best support in the game in the eyes of majority of pros. However, what Kevin has to say is interesting. So Kevin said Chen is handicapped due to his innate reliance on creeps to become relevant. You can't even dominate creeps with auras until a few minutes in. Now, you have zero utility if you pick this as a first ability. So I guess he's talking about his W, which almost everyone skills at level 1. Often they even take a melee creep right away and use that to zone the opponent because you get the gold. You don't get the XP, which is unfortunate, but you get the gold. He says, so even if you view Chen without creeps, which is weird. So I don't really know why we would view Chen without creeps, considering that's the whole point of the hero, but okay. So if you view Chen without creeps and considered he's viewed as a support and treated as one, he is awful, even post 7.33. I don't really know what that's supposed to mean. I feel like viewing Chen without creeps is like viewing Sven without God Strength, or Shadow Fiend without races. Yeah, the heroes are probably pretty bad without arguably their most important ability, but we can continue. The way the creep hero gold works, it's even easier for a team to snowball, furthering his irrelevance. I don't really know exactly what that means. I feel like Chen is good when people snowball early. I feel like he's pretty good in that meta, but okay. His abilities need a rework, and he needs to be played as a supportive core role, not support. There are dozens of supports that will be superior. So, okay, we're going to start there. I guess don't pick Chen, guys. Here to hear first, and let's move into a build that's actually good. All right, getting into the first build that's actually good, we have the most upvoted comment of the entire video. This was a comment from Vanko Banko, who said, the new Zeus Shard plus Manta attack speed build is really fun. Maybe not that strong, but definitely quite unique. I like to call it the Emperor Palpatine build, unlimited power. And yeah, I actually fully agree with Vanko Banko. This build is quite fun and actually is somewhat legit. If you don't know what he's talking about, every time Zeus auto-attacks when he has his shard, he procs a 50% damage Arc Lightning. This is obviously quite powerful considering Arc Lightning was changed, where now every time you hit someone with Arc Lightning, it does a percentage of their health. It's like Static Field, Zeus's old ability, and his old shard, which was now changed. And so what you do is you buy a bunch of attack speed. So typically you buy treads, maybe a dragon lance for some agi. Hurricane pike is a good route you can go down. I've seen some people go Midas for a little bit of extra attack speed and some level snowballing. There's a couple of different routes. You can go Witchblade, right? It's definitely good. It's definitely a mid build as well, from what I've seen. So I've seen people try it safe lane. I don't think it's very good because you definitely need levels, and I think you need to bottle too much in the laning stage. But yeah, so then the reason why Manta is good is the Manta works with the shard. I don't know why it seems very clunky and goofy, but it does work like that. When you have the shard, every time your Manta hits, it will proc the arc lightning. So you just basically arc lightning like crazy. And of course it works on creep waves. So it becomes very good for farming at some point in the game. So if you're looking for a cool build that's like on the edge of good and a meme, but very fun, then this build is definitely the way to go. The next build is from Isaac Bicalho. Hopefully I said that right. Abaddon position 1. Hear me out. The hero was already doing fine last patch, but this patch it's just insane. You go Phase Boots, Midas, Radiance, Manta style, and just take over the map with all the juicy camps. With a blink and Manta illusions, you melt supports mid-game based on your passive, and let me tell you, oh wow, this is a lot of stuff. Okay, and Isaac wrote a lot about the hero and all useful information, but I'm going to sum it up for you guys quickly. Essentially, at level 20, your ultimate, when it's active, does burn damage. This does a ton of damage, and Isaac's super right about that. So this new level 20 talent is very legit. And when you buy Ags, you get the effects of the old Ags, and you get to burn them for much longer. It's 85 damage per second, which is far more than Radiance, and of course, you're already buying Radiance, which is what he mentioned. And so all in all, Abaddon is a new universal hero that can buy a lot of stats, something Isaac also mentioned. And so yeah, you can lead the lane with like 1, 3 branches and have quite a bit of base damage and be able to sustain your mana pool that way. You can go 2 gauntlets, 2 branches, tangos, quelling, and have just like a lot of HP so you can run at the enemy. You can go double circlet, branch, quelling tangos as well, and be a trading machine. And there's a lot of routes you can go on this carry Abaddon. The only downside is it doesn't really farm the camps around the map very quickly until you have Radiance. However, if you can pick it into a good laning matchup and you can sit in the lane for the duration where you need to get your Radiance, it's a very powerful build. The next one is by Truman Clark McCasland. That's quite the name, I like that name. And his comment is about Oracle, and I fully agree. Like when I saw this comment, I was like, oh, I was gonna make a full video on Oracle, but frankly, I don't mind putting it in here because it's a bit of a niche hero, and so I do wanna talk about Oracle, and let's break it down right now. So I can't agree more with him, right? I cannot agree more with him. I think Oracle is incredibly broken. And he said it. He said Oracle in general is incredibly broken. The only instance of 100% magic resist, and it doesn't even disarm allies anymore. And that's super true. If you didn't know, when Oracle puts his W on someone, his Fate's Edict, it used to disarm them. And so if you wanted to make them spell immune or heal them, you had to disarm them. This was annoying for carries if they wanted to last hit in lane or fight back in the laning stage, or if they were farming or mid-team fight, if they went on someone but were getting nuked. There are so many instances where you would want to potentially make them magic immune and heal them, even in the laning stage. Like, frankly, you can just heal them while they're fighting. And if they're about to get nuked, you block the nuke and you heal them, right? And so it's just incredibly powerful that it now doesn't disarm your teammates. It's a massive, massive buff. It is also the only instance of 100% magic resist, which Truman mentions in the first comment here, and it's just true. It just allows you to really block all the damage this patch, which is incredible. I mean, last patch as well, but BKB no longer blocks all the damage, so it helps. He can purge enemies even when they use BKB. I actually didn't know that. Purge doesn't count as a debuff. That's what he's saying. I didn't know that. So apparently if someone has a DD or is empowered or anything that is a buff, you can purge them. Another thing that I like about it as well that he doesn't mention is it's very good against the current meta item Crimson Guard. Funny enough, I don't know why, but it does dispel the active of Crimson Guard, but not the active of Pipe. I did some testing and apparently that's how it works. I don't know why, but it's good against Crimson Guard. So if your team struggles against Crimson, well, Oracle is going to be able to help you with that. He can heal allies through BKB now, which is true, because you can Fate Edict them during the BKB, and you can nuke them during the BKB because they're not spell immune. And he said you don't even need a specific build. Oracle in general is so good right now. And I fully agree. However, I will mention, I think it's very important to get an Aether Lens, just mana boots in general. Your hero, especially after they nerfed its mana costs in 7.33b, it does have mana problems in the late game if you're casting your spells effectively. So you do need mana boots. I recommend getting the Aether Lens. Something like Force Staff for a little bit of extra mana pool is good. Then try to get your shard, whether or not it's from the Tormentor or just from buying it. Your shard is incredibly broken. Basically, the shard is its old Ags. I've mentioned in so many videos now where I'm not going to repeat it. If you don't know what it does, it's heal amp and heal reduction in a massive radius and damage, as well as healing to your teammates. It's insanely strong. Next, we have Nyx Assassin. And I'm not going to lie, I was shocked. Nyx Assassin was mentioned so much, so much in the comment section of this video. Like, literally, there was a billion Nyx Assassin comments. I'm not kidding. And I fully agree. I even just had a Nyx Assassin mid in my game, and it was insane what this guy was doing. Like, I cannot over-exaggerate how much impact he was having. I might literally make a full video on that guy's Nyx build or this Nyx game, because he was one-shotting the enemy Slark at like minute 18. He walked up to the guy, dag on him, and this is what Matt is mentioning, so it's essentially what it is. But basically, you walk up to them, okay, in Vendetta. I'm gonna read Matt's comment in a moment. You hit them, you dag on them, and then your W reflects it. But basically, he says Nyx Assassin as a farming 4 is insane. And I do agree, you do need to farm a little bit on this hero. You need the levels, so don't fall behind. I've been going Dagon, Shard, Orchid, E-Blade. This is a bit much, and I definitely think expecting to get all these items is a bit much, and I don't really recommend buying the Orchid. And now I know Matt might disagree, but basically, if you need the Orchid to tick out to kill someone, I don't know, their item build probably sucks because it can be dispelled. That's basically the problem. So I fully agree with his build. I think the Orchid, if the enemy team doesn't have any dispels for some reason, is insanely good as well. So I can get that. But he said, I've been going Dagon, Shard, Orchid, E-Blade. His new ability is crazy. You get the 30% bonus damage based on the damage they already took from you. If you don't know what this means, Nyx Assassin's new mana burn, basically when you cast it on someone, it does damage based on how much you've done to them. So if you hit them with Vendetta, dag on them, and then cast this ability on them, it does an insane amount of bonus damage. Like, it's crazy. Plus the bonus damage from Orchid ending. So yeah, he wants you to have an Orchid. I understand where Matt Ellis is coming from. The Orchid does sound hype. This is just a lot of gold. All you truly need to make this build work is a Dagon. Like, that's the cool thing. You just need a Dagon. The Shard is great as well. It basically amps magic damage when you hit someone, so obviously that makes a lot of sense when you're trying to burst them with nukes. But Nyx Assassin one-shots people. It's pretty insane. Next up, from Nico Castillo, we have Omni Knight Core, and I couldn't agree more. He said his Hammer of Purity is insane, plus Shard and scales well into the late game. That's pure damage and hits almost twice every 6 seconds. WTF. And yeah, it's super true. If you haven't seen Omni Knight Core, the build that people are primarily going is Echo Saber and a Harpoon, so you can stay on top of people. I've actually seen mostly Omni Knight mid, and I really like it. You go Bottle to sustain the laning stage, Heavenly Grace lets you sustain against ranged heroes, and so does Purification, and then eventually when you want to roam, your hero's very good. You buy Phase Boots, Windlace, Magic Wand, and an Echo Saber to help your early stats and mana pool. Then, of course, as I said, you upgrade into the Harpoon, and your hero's gap close is insane. After that, you buy the Shard, and if you don't know what the Shard does, it makes it when you hit, you proc your Hammer of Purity. And Omni Knight's Hammer of Purity does pure damage, as Nico mentioned, and it explodes people. So you can basically Hammer of Purity them, then hit them. You just nuke them twice with Hammer of Purity. And for a lot of supports, this plus 1 Purification one-shots them. It's a ridiculous amount of damage, and then of course, the nice thing about Omni Knight is you still get all of the utility. You can Heavenly Grace one of your cores, you can Guardian Angel against physical damage team comms. There's just a lot of value in this Omni Knight core build, and I definitely think it's something worth trying out. So next up, we got a comment that actually didn't have any likes. I want to show some love to some of the people that I guess didn't even get any love. But Garrett Gardella said Necro. Boots, Radiance, Dagon, Shard, Bloodstone, Kaiasange, Ags, Refresher, or Heart. It's kind of like the Bristleback build. And yes, he's right, it is kind of like the Bristleback build, but I agree with Garrett. So here's the selling point of this build, because it might not seem that crazy, and it might seem like a build that you've maybe done in the past. But the difference is the change to Dagon. If you don't know what was changed about Dagon, it now gives Spell Lifesteal. And this is incredible. On a hero like Necrophos that heavily benefits from Spell Lifesteal, you double down on this. You get Spell Lifesteal from the Dagon. That obviously works with Radiance, it works with your Death Pulse, it works with your Ultimate. And what's really cool about Dagon on Spell Lifesteal, and I actually just tested this, is that it works with your Ghost Shroud. So on Necrophos, when you click Ghost Shroud, all of your self-heal gets amplified by 45%. In fact, that increases per level, so it goes all the way up to 75%. And basically, when you cast Dagon on someone, and you have this 75% restore amplification, it heals you for nearly 800 health. That's obviously maxed out Dagon, so don't get too crazy, but 800 health from just one thing is insane. Then you're getting extra heal from Death Pulse, extra heal from Reaper Scythe because these are spells. It's even more because you heal from Radiance, you heal from using your Shard, you heal even more because Kaiasange amps spell Lifesteal, and then when you buy Ags, it lowers the cooldown of Ghost Shroud so you can do this even more. He also recommends going Bloodstone, which I think you can. I definitely think Bloodstone is good. It's expensive, and I think Kaiasange is generally better. It's cheaper. Not by a lot, actually. Bloodstone is quite cheap nowadays, but the Kaiasange makes you harder to burst, which is really key. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Radiance, Dagon, Shard into Kaiasange. It's pretty crazy how much you can heal with this build, and you do a ton of damage. And finally, the last build of the video is from Infernagon. Infernagon. And he said, I played Medusa safe lane with a Mortigan and bought Manta Scotty after that, the usual items. Armlet saved me countless of times, and it sure as hell is easy to toggle since you have your mana shield. It also helps the low stats and damage mana has in the early game. Frankly, I just read this comment. It really did make me laugh. I have no idea if this is good or not. I can kind of see the logic, right? Like, your hero doesn't take any damage, so you can kind of keep it on, sort of, because like you don't really take like health damage, right? You take mana damage. So I guess it kind of makes sense, right? I mean, this item gives you a lot of armor, some damage. I don't know really if I should be trying to justify Armlet on Medusa, but Infernagon seems pretty confident here. Like, he's clearly not trolling with this build. I don't know. You guys can go try it out yourself. Go ruin a ranked game with Armlet Medusa. I don't know, but nonetheless, it could be good. He said he bought Manta and Scotty after that, the usual items, which I respect, so he's not going too far off the route, right? He could have went Armlet into Mask of Madness, then into Phylactery, and then into Bevice, and then maybe a Daedalus, and that would have been very questionable to the point where I know he's trolling, but this certainly seems, I don't know, I'm convinced. So, nonetheless, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, before you tune out, subscribe to the Game Leap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.